So many coaches say, I love coaching, but I hate selling. Today, I am speaking to Rich Bernstein, the CEO and president of Mars Venus Coaching. He's been selling since the age of 16, and he'll talk to us about how coaches can transform this fear of selling into a love of helping other people. Rich, you've helped a ton of coaches turn this belief around. Like, in your opinion, what needs to shift for them to get this started?
I think the first thing is, and this is a very important concept, is coaching means so many different things to so many different people. So when you interpret what is coaching, the biggest mistake a coach can make is trying to sell coaching, because that's
Mhm.
not our product. That is not what we're selling. We don't want to sell it to people. We want them to taste it. We want them to be coached into want to be coached. So we're coaching them to make a decision to transform their life. We're coaching them to make a decision that I want a vision. And so that's the first thing they have to understand is they're not selling coaching, they're selling a vision. So they
Mhm.
have to pull that vision out of that prospective client, and then that's what I do. And if you learn how to do that and you do it with a love because you're really helping somebody see what their vision is, to see what they really want in life, whether it's relationship or it's health or it's, finance, whatever it is in their life, if they see it and touch it and feel it, now they want that. And all you're doing is helping them get it. Whether they work with you or not, they're going to then see a vision, because there's a part of our brain called the Reticular Activating System, the RAS. And when a person sees it clearly, now the brain starts figuring out, how do I get that? How can I have that? And you're the coach right in front of them. So they start looking at you as, you got me to see this vision. I want to work with you. Because most people don't really look at what they want. They look at what they don't want. So they focus on that. And
Mhm.
you as a coach can help them see what they want. So that should be your first step in sales, is not trying to sell them on how great coaching is and everybody should have one. And we're cheerleaders and we're, with pom poms at the front door and we're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and you're going to be happy. That is not what we do. All I do in selling coaching is get them to see their vision. And if I take that vision, I can connect it to a why do you want that? Now we have some power behind it and the desires there to at least want to know more about how coaching can get me to have that.
Right.
Coaching is just a vehicle, Helmut. It's just a vehicle
Mhm.
to get you there. There is what we're selling. And if you can appreciate that, you can start loving helping people see a vision. Forget about
Mhm.
selling,
Cool. That sounds very enticing, especially if you hate selling, right? You don't need to worry about it.
right?
You just focus on creating the vision or finding the vision. And is it, I mean, I've heard about this, whatever you focus on, you create, you draw into your life. Would you
You
agree?
manifest, exactly. And that's
Mhm.
one of the problems people have, and why they do need a coach, most people, is because
Mhm.
they focus on what they don't want, and therefore they're attracting more of what they don't want. They focus on what they don't like, so they're attracting more of what they don't like. And as coaches, we're always getting them to go to the other side of that formula for change, which is, this is your dissatisfaction, this is your vision. Spend your time over here on the vision, focus on that vision, and you begin to manifest it. And it begins with coaching questions, not with selling questions. That's
Mhm.
what coaches are trying to do, is sell themselves. I'm not selling myself. I'm selling a vision. This is what you want. Coaching is just a process, a vehicle to get you there,
So you're creating the desire for that vision in a
for
way.
that vision. That's exactly right. And that is
Beautiful.
an art form that we actually teach here at Mars Venus.
Okay. Yeah, I heard there's a four-step process, right? That you teach at Mars Venus.
Right.
Do you want to give us an overview in a nutshell how this process works?
Sure, sure. Because one thing I want to say before we get into the step process is, a lot of people believe that if I'm passionate about what I do, if I love what I do, I'm going to be successful at it.
Hmm.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble, whoever's listening to this, because that's not true. Yes, you need passion. Passion is important. Nobody's more passionate about coaching than me. I've been doing it almost 25 years now. I just love it. But that is not what dictates success. The way in which you articulate what you do dictates your success. So how do you articulate what you do? The first thing is if you're out and about or you're at a networking event or even if you're doing a workshop or whatever you do, when people ask you, what do you do? We at Mars Venus are taught to say things like, well, I'm a gender intelligent Mars Venus coach. Everybody says, what is that? What? What? A gender intelligent life and relationship coach. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you have to do is not answer that question. You have to say, and this is the hardest part, is to say, before I answer that, would it be okay if I ask you a few questions? And everybody, because they love to talk about themselves, says,
Yeah.
sure. First question, what's your biggest challenge in your life or your relationship or your business, whatever context you're in? What's your biggest challenge? That is the dissatisfaction side. I need to extract that so that I can flip it to what the opposite of that is. If they say, my biggest dissatisfaction, my husband is always yelling at me. I go, okay, tell me a little bit about that. Well, he comes home from work and he's all stressed out and he just starts yelling at me. Okay, what do you want him to do? Well, I want him to stop yelling. No, that's a double negative.
Mm-hmm.
Stop is not heard by the universe. What do you really want him to do? Oh, I want him to talk nicely to me. Okay. What does that look like? Oh, he would come home and he'd be happy to see me and give me a hug and ask me about my day. And he would just talk nicely to me. Okay. Remember, you asked me what I do? That's what I do. I help husbands talk nicely to their wives.
Mm-hmm.
You're kidding me. I'm not selling anything. I didn't tell him how great coaching is. I didn't tell him how I do that. All I said is that's what I do because what I did is I extracted the vision first and then I answered their question.
And then they want to know more.
And then they want to know
They're
more.
interested, right?
How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I do. The
Mm-hmm.
first step in the program is I want to see how committed they are to that vision, whatever it is. I want my husband to talk nicely to me. Let's see if you're committed to that. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm willing to do since I met you today? I'm willing to have a complimentary session with you, but I need you to fill out this form. It's just going to give us a snapshot so we have a very productive call. Please fill out this form and I'm done. That's step two, is I ask them to fill out a form. And then
Mm-hmm.
I can tell their level of commitment, not just by if they fill it out or not, but if they actually, how quickly they fill it out. There are some people I get it back in 3 minutes. There are some people I get it back in 2 weeks. But that
Yeah.
tells me their level of commitment. And some people, I don't get it back at all. And guess what that tells me? You're not that
They're
committed.
not.
Thank you very much. You
Mm-hmm.
saved me time and energy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to focus on you because you're not even willing to sit down and fill out a form that should take 3 or 4 minutes, just a very simple form, and send it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
But those that do send it back, that speaks volumes as well. That
Mm-hmm.
tells me there's some level of commitment. And then I'm going to take that form and I'm going to call them up and I'm going to use that form as a guide. And again, no selling. I'm going to D and V them. Dissatisfaction and vision. Whatever is the lowest score on that form, we have a very, simple form that just
Uh-huh.
ranks all different areas of their life. And you take that form and you find the lowest score and you simply say, why did you rank yourself a 3 in your relationship? Oh, because blah, blah, blah. And then what do? Flip it over to the vision. Just what I did in that initial conversation. I'm just going to do it again. No selling, just creating a vision with them. And when I
Mm-hmm.
take that vision and then I attach it to a why do you want that? Why is that important to you? Then I'm reaching down inside and creating the desire. When you have clarity and desire, now the reticular activating system kicks in, and now I'm ready to, at the end of that session, go, okay, now are you ready to go to the next step? Is a paid session. Just one session for
Mm-hmm.
$100.
Why
Now,
100?
what is
Why
100?
why 100?
Because most life coaching courses will teach you that $400 is a monthly, fee for
Mm-hmm.
coaching. So I want that single session to be 1/4 of that monthly fee. If your monthly fee is $600 a month, then that first session should be 150.
Huh.
My business coaching is 2,000 a month. That first session is 500. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to see if they're committed enough, and it has to make sense that that is 1/4 of your monthly fee, because
Right.
that would make sense to them. And
Yeah.
so then I will say to them, you know what? We had a great session. If you want to go to the next step where we go in much more detail, that'll be $100 or that'll be $500. And
Mm-hmm.
now I want to see first, were they committed enough to invest a little bit of time? Now I want to see if they're committed enough to invest a little money. Not
Mm-hmm.
to buy a program. I'm not asking them to buy anything. Just, do you want to keep going? We can have one session. So I always do one complimentary session and one paid session.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that paid session, which we go much more in detail and much more clarity on the vision, now I can show them my 3 program options.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did do another video, if you can find that one, on client retention. That is a really important one because what I'm going to do in that session and show my program options is I never sell coaching by so many sessions. That's a big
Mm-hmm.
mistake that coaches make is they sell it by 8 sessions or 10 or 12. And if you buy 12 sessions, you get a little discount. The problem is at the end of those 12 sessions, they think it's over. And I want to have long lasting relationship, not just in the sales process itself, but then long term. So at
Right.
Mars Venus, we sell it by the month.
Mm-hmm.
And the fee is based on whether or not it's 2 times a month, fortnightly, every other week, or is
Mm-hmm.
it weekly, or is it twice a week? If they really want the support, I can do Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday, and they get the support. So never put a series together that they buy, because at the end of that, they're in their mind, they're done. And they
Yeah.
should be cured,
Yeah.
or whatever the challenge is.
Now let's pause here for a second. Now you've basically given us a an instruction on how to go to a networking event or any kind of party
Right.
and basically create a client in the
Absolutely.
conversation.
Absolutely.
How would you do it with, workshops or webinars? Is that a similar process or is the process different there?
No, it would be the same. They just put it into their comment. I could say to them, everybody think of your biggest challenge in your life, relationship, health, whatever it is, just put one challenge in there. Now, what I
Hmm.
want you to do now that the challenge, I see all the comments, then I'll say, now, I want you to think of what do you want? Not that. And don't say stop that or I don't want that because the universe doesn't hear don't and it doesn't hear stop. What it actually hears is what do you want? I want my husband to stop yelling is not a vision. I want him to talk nicely to me, and that's a vision. So I want everybody to write that comment down. Everybody write that down. What did I do? I took them from the D to the V, from the dissatisfaction over to the vision. And then I tell everybody, I can help you have that clarity. I shoot them the form. I can put it there as downloadable, and I'll give you a complimentary session as a gift for coming to my workshop.
Hmm. Hmm.
But first, I have to get him to see the V. That's the problem, not the D. The D doesn't sell. And one of the biggest problems people have is they do D, F, first step. So
Hmm.
my husband's yelling at me. Well, I can fix that. I don't know if you can fix that. Who are you? I don't know what you do or how you do it. But if you DV the vision is what sells,
Hmm.
not you selling them on coaching. I'm going to help you have this vision. Why do
Yeah.
you want the vision again? I'm going to help you have that vision. So set up a complimentary call. So it
Makes
works in
sense.
any arena.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I have a hard time at dinner parties now because every time I'll say to one of my wife's friends, so what's your biggest challenge? I can't even finish the sentence without my wife saying, here he goes again, because I say it to everybody because I want to help them whether they buy from me or not. And so I'll take that biggest challenge, flip it over, and get them to focus on this.
Mm.
The next time I see them at a dinner party, they go, Rich, thank you so much. I'm not even working with them. And they thank me for focusing on that vision because
Mhm.
that's what coaches do.
And do you notice how that changes when you speak to women and men? Like, how does gender intelligence come into play as
Oh,
you go through the sales process?
excellent question. Men, because of the corpus callosum and how the brain is wired, we're always focused on linear thinking. So
Hmm.
with a man, it's only the next step. So when I talk to a man about their vision, it's how do I get from here to there? It's literally a step-by-step process. And I'll talk about the first step, the second step, the third step. When it comes to women, because everything is connected to everything else in their life, is I have to connect their vision with the kids. with their job, with their husband, with their health, with their free time, with their girlfriends. You know, it all has to be connected. So it's not a linear approach. It's more of a connective approach that if
Mhm.
you have this, how will it affect all these other parts of your life? Men don't think that way. So, of course, I'm going to look at the vision very differently of how it affects their life with a woman as opposed to just achieving the goal as a man.
Right, right. Do you use different words, different phrases? Do you
Many
have
times. And we
uh-huh.
learn those in our gender intelligent classes and in our coaching classes,
Hmm.
because one thing I never do is I never use the word goal with a woman.
Uh-huh. Why?
Because women feel, and I know every woman that listens to this will appreciate it, they'll agree with me, is it kind of box them in. They need a little
Hmm.
bit of fruit. They got so much else going on in their life, and now you're giving me goals, and I don't know if I can hit those goals. And what if I don't hit those goals? Because it's all, what if my life gets complicated because I'm going after those goals? Men love the word. Women do not. So I look
Hmm.
at things with women using terms like, what would you like to achieve? Or where would you like to see yourself in 90 days from now? How can we transform your life and fit everything else into it, around it, so that you are where you want to be? Not what's your goal. That's
Hmm.
something we teach of how the brain's wired differently. What that word does to a woman's hormones is they suddenly freeze up. Like, goal? I have to achieve a goal? I have to hit a goal? I have to hit
Makes
a
sense.
target?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
that's not a good statement for women.
That's very masculine, right? Like men
Very
love that,
masculine
right?
energy,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And what, Rich, what would you tell coaches that still struggle with asking for money for their services, for the things that they offer?
I suggest they get a coach and work on the emotional block of money, because a lot of people have that. First, I might be kidding a little bit about that, but it's true. You have to believe that what you're doing is worth it in their life. If I can improve your relationship, what is that really worth to you?
Mm.
What is that happiness worth to you? You invest in a dinner, maybe $100 to take you and your wife to dinner or you and your husband to dinner instead of a coaching session. If you skip one dinner every week, this is something that I tell a lot of people. If you had $168 in your pocket, would you invest $1 in yourself? Everybody says, of course I would. Well, you have 168 hours in a week. Why wouldn't you spend one of them on you, on learning that skill of money that doesn't, of course, it doesn't grow on trees, but if you're providing service to people, the money will come. You'll
Mm.
almost every Mars Venus coach that starts out at $400 a month out of fear, within 3 months, they're at $650 a month because they start seeing the value of the change in that person's
Hmm.
life. And if
Hmm.
suddenly I feel in control of my life, my relationship is good, I'm happier, I'm healthier, all of these things are going in my life, what is that worth to me? To me, it's priceless. I have paid my coach for 12 years, not 12 months, 12 years, because I love the value it's given to me. It's worth every single dollar to me.
Yeah, yeah, very cool.
They've
And
got to
because
learn.
and because we talked about money, like how should coaches structure their coaching programs, their coaching fees? Do
Well,
you have
like I
some
said, yeah,
guidelines there?
like I said before, it's got to be done on a monthly basis so you can keep them many, many, many months. Most
Hmm.
of my clients are 6 years, 7 years, 8 years just on a monthly, and you can quit anytime. But we structure the fees based on the frequency of the sessions on a monthly basis. So
Hmm.
every month, if you're going to talk to me twice a month, it's $300 or $400 a month. If you're going to talk to me every week, which is always my recommended package because that keeps the momentum going, every week, what did you do? What didn't you do? Where are you on the scale? Things like that, because we measure their improvement every week in many different topics of their life. Or if
Hmm.
we do it twice a week. So that's based on frequency, but always on a monthly basis.
And in your experience, what do people go for?
Usually the middle program.
The middle?
They don't do the lower end, they don't do the high end. 90% of people pick the middle. That's why we give them three options
Three
to
options.
pick the middle. Instead of,
Hmm.
do you want coaching or not? That's another big mistake people make. Do you want it or so not is one of the options. If I say which program is best for you, twice a month, 4 times a month, every week, or twice a week, 8 times a month, not coaching is not one of
It's
those
not an
options.
option. Very good, very good. That's a good, that's a very valuable little side note. Can you, before we finish this session, can you just maybe just recap the most important parts for us? Like,
You're selling vision. You're selling vision. That's the number
Mhm,
one thing. And I want to say happy selling, but it's not. It's happy coaching. That's what you're doing. You're coaching them to see the vision. If you coach them to see the vision and you connect it to just out of curiosity, why do you want that? That is the sale. Then just shut your mouth and say, fill out this form and I'll give you a complimentary session. Those that fill it out have now shown their level of commitment and their level of interest. Don't try to sell coaching. Just
mhm,
sell the vision. And by
mhm,
that, I mean coach them to see the vision. What does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? If you get that clarity around a vision, trust me, more people will want it.
mhm.
That's the number one key to selling coaching.
Yeah. And for people that are struggling with the fear for selling, do you have a sentence, a phrase, something that they can
Yes,
take?
stop selling. Start coaching people to want to be coached. Stop trying to sell. In fact,
Mhm,
when I talk to people, selling is the last thing on my mind. Bringing them value is the most important thing. And how do I do that? Clarity on what they want. That's how I bring them value. And almost everybody, like I said, I can't even open my mouth anymore because when I start bringing value, they want more value. That's the key to not selling coaching.
fantastic. Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rich, for your time.
You're welcome. I hope this helps people out there. Like it, let me repeat, don't sell, coach. Coach them to see their vision,
Very good.
and
Very good.
more people will want it from you.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
Uh,
Helmut.
thank you, Richard. And for our viewers, if you found this talk helpful and interesting, make sure you subscribe to our channel because we'll be talking more about coaching, about the business side of coaching, on how to sell, how to create clients, how to retain clients. I think that'll be a good conversation to have as well. You'll find more information on the description below. We'll have some links as well that you can click if you want to talk to one of our team about how to become a coach or get more information on how to sell. And I look forward to
More of
welcoming
these.
Rich on another session.
Thank you very much, Helmut. Have a
Fantastic.
good weekend.
Alrighty.
Everybody, bye.
Bye-bye.